Smart Gamer Live has partnered together with some fantastic community leaders. In this series, you'll get to meet those leaders and learn about their communities. Let's see who's up. Hi, welcome to Smart Gamer Live, the community spotlight. I'm here with Poison Taco. He is the leader of Part-Time Heroes. Hi, Poison.
How's it going, everybody? Kicking ass in less than 20 hours a week. That started in January of 2013. And I've always had a desire to get really into like large scale gaming. Like if you look at stuff like the old Dark Age Camelot or other MMOs, or you have games like Planetside 2, I've always really enjoyed kind of being at the tip of the spear when it comes to large organized groups, either in PvP or PvE.
Were you a part of other groups back in the day within those larger games, or were you kind of fairly new to gaming altogether?
I have quite an extensive history in communities and guilds and a multitude of MMOs, as well as FPS games. I've been running like Battlefield servers for a number of years, and I've even been on a competitive TF2 team at one point.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So Part-Time Heroes 2013, what was the ultimate goal there with starting this?
Well, let's just say I was in a previous community before that. I ran Guild Wars 2 and Planetside 2 in there. And when I was running Planetside 2, I had a week or two of having school and work. And
those always get in the way, don't they?
I know. And the other admins were like, "Oh, well, Planetside 2 isn't that active. We have to shut it down." Like, I was gone for a week, guys.
Apparently, like, you were the only thing worthwhile going on there.
I don't know, but either way, I got a couple other guys that were instrumental in helping me up with Planetside 2. It's like I even got us featured on SOE's live stream.
Oh, that's exciting.
Like I reached out to the devs. They played with us in TeamSpeak. We had their coworkers stream snipe us. It was great.
That's always fun.
I put all that stuff together, and to get that level of appreciation or lack thereof.
Do you still have links to those streams and whatnot?
I would have to dig, but I can find them. So we kind of broke off, and I started Part-Time Heroes. Part-Time Heroes is built on the philosophy of I want to do big stuff in big games, but I don't want it to turn into a job. I want to respect you, respect your time, because I want to do all the cool shit that we can possibly do in these games.
Okay, wait. Most gaming communities and most guilds, for the most part, are almost full-time jobs for the person leading them. How the heck are you doing that with your group and not making it a full-time job?
Truth of the matter is, it's a little bit of a self-sacrifice.
It always is for those who lead.
I do it because I enjoy it, but I have a structure built out so that you dedicate only as much as you want to.
Hence the tagline of kicking ass 20 hours a week or less.
Yes. And that's a really strong philosophy I stick to, because at the end of the day, we're talking about video games here. And one thing that I've told officers and other leaders I've been with in the past is this is your free time. If you're not having fun, you have to ask yourself, what the hell are you doing?
You know, my wife started doing this cleaning of the house, and she's been watching that Netflix show about cleaning. And the lady's like, when you're looking at something and deciding whether or not to keep it or continue doing it, in this case, the question you have to ask yourself is, does it bring you joy?
Exactly.
And that applies here. So do you have officers that kind of flux in and go out as they kind of burn out? Do you have burnout in your group? How does that look?
I've had Burnout and I've seen Burnout. One thing to note is that from 2013 till about the end of 2014, we kind of fizzled out. Um, we were in Guild Wars 2 and Battlefield, and at the time, both games were kind of falling out of favor. One, we had a really successful server in Battlefield, but like within the first year, Battlefield 4 was really unstable. And when you're paying $90 a month for a server and you're dealing with all a host of issues provided to you from the good folks at EA, you kind of ask yourself, what the hell did we get ourselves into?
You made a joke there, good folks at EA. That's funny.
Don't get me started on them.
You would be probably among good friends with the group that watches and participates in Smart Gamer. That's for sure.
And so everybody kind of dispersed. For the number of years after that, I kind of got myself involved in Star Citizen orgs for a number of years and kind of bounced away. And for a game that's unreleased, guilds are really, really fickle. Yeah. And like I was in one where the leadership was all the guild leader and his son and all his friends, and they just wanted to call themselves Admiral.
Okay, but right now you're in Part-Time Heroes, which, as I understand it, is a community.
Yes.
Not a guild. So you guys are going from game to game, and I would assume you've got subsets since we're all kind of in the middle of anything good to play these days. I assume you're kind of stretched among between
everyone's kind of scattered. So around April of last year, a Star Citizen group I was in kind of fell apart. And I reached out to the co-founder of Part-Time Heroes. And I'm like...
You have a co-founder for this group?
Yeah.
And we've never met them.
Yeah, he's too busy at Starbucks.
All right.
He does a lot of the server backend stuff. Unfortunately, he doesn't have too much time.
Okay. All right.
I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, let's get this thing back together. And lo and behold, in 2 days we had like 50 people back together. Granted, we're talking 4 or 5 years later. Everybody is at a different point in their lives. Everybody has different interests. So yeah, you're among
2018 now, or this is the 2013 part.
Yeah, 2018.
Okay, so we're in 2018,
and we've gotten back together. Turns out 2 members that came into Part-Time Heroes are married. Like they just got married 2 months ago.
That's exciting.
They didn't even play the same game.
So you have that close of a community.
I guess so.
Or either that or Taco the matchmaker.
I guess so, but I mean, one of them came from Guild Wars, the other one came from Battlefield 4, and they're somehow married.
Okay. All kinds. So 2013 you started, you fell apart, or fizzled out, however you'd like to say it. And then 2018 you came back, we're sitting at about 50 people. What are you looking at now as far as membership in 2019?
We got about over 100 people on our Discord, but I mean it's kind of like a loose coalition of all the fantastic people myself and a few other people have met over like the last 7 or 8 years of gaming.
So how many active players would you estimate that you have right now? And I say active, knowing that you're not specifically in any one game.
In Star Citizen, we can probably pull together about 20 people.
Okay.
And other games would vary based on people's interests. Like I said, everybody is at a different point of their lives. Like,
So what other games is your group playing then?
We're kind of exploring. We've been doing a little bit of StarCraft, a little bit of Team Fortress 2. We're just kind of going back to enjoying anything that either requires low effort or is cheap or is just simple fun, because there isn't a whole lot out there, and it's when you're bouncing between from game to game, it can get expensive,
Yes.
and not everybody has that kind of disposable income, so it's not fair to make them bounce from game to game.
So do you have people playing WoW?
A couple are playing WoW, but WoW's
Okay.
never really been a big thing in my circle.
ArcAge?
Uh, a group I was in, kind of in that in between period, we tried ArcAge. The best alpha I ever played, but the worst release I've ever seen for an MMO.
But do you have members of your group right now that are playing ArcAge?
No, not right now.
Okay. Ashes of Creation.
We are looking at it, but again, like it's hard to get into like you gotta have to narrow your focus.
Right.
And the other thing to keep in mind is not everybody in the group is an MMO player.
Right.
Because I've got people from Battlefield, I got people that have the more FPS mentality.
Okay, so then that prompts this lovely question. What is, would you say, the main goal of your group? Are you an RP group? Are you a first-person shooter group? Are you a PvP-centric group? What would you say is kind of the main style of the group of people that are together under Part-Time Heroes?
The kind of goal is to go for kind of like serious gameplay, and I have tons of spreadsheets to back this up. And like, for example, with Star Citizen, we almost plan on going milsim for the people who want milsim.
Gotcha.
But we want to take it seriously, but we don't want to take it seriously to the point where it's not fun anymore.
So if we look at Camelot Unchained, for instance,
yes,
are you going to be a more RVR group, or are you going to be a crafting group, or are you going to be the group that tries to RP on an RVR game? What does that look like?
We are 100% going to be in RVR.
So no crafters.
Well, I'm open to crafters. It's just
that's not the focus.
Well, we kind of need to see how that kind of plays into the game.
Fair. So, you as a gamer, what types of games do you tend to lean towards? It's sounding kind of like you're a space game guy.
A bit, yeah. Outside of MMOs, I like a typical shooter. I've always been a big fan of Battlefield. Outside of that, my kind of bread and butter is strategy games. I'm kind of the de facto king in Part-Time Heroes when it comes to any strategy game.
Favorite strategy game?
Favorite.
What's your favorite strategy game? That's a pretty simple question.
I mean, there's StarCraft, there's Stellaris.
Okay, you're giving me a list. Just give me one.
Total War is good.
Just give me one.
It's impossible.
Okay, fine. Least favorite strategy game. How's that?
Probably Supreme Commander 2.
All right, you all can tell him why he's wrong. I don't have an opinion on this.
You can't tell me I'm wrong, because that was an RTS game designed for a console that automatically invalidates it.
Okay. I'm sure that there will be people down in the comments that have an opinion otherwise.
But I'm kind of the guy in the group where if you challenge me to any strategy game, that's a bad time.
Okay. So always be on your side, never against, is what you're trying to say.
I guess so.
So I see you have a Star Wars poster in the background. You're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
The Star Wars games, thoughts?
The Golden Age ended in 2005.
Okay.
2005. If you look back at it, 2005 was amazing for Star Wars. We got Republic Commando, we got Star Wars Battlefront 2, and we got Knights of the Old Republic 2, all in the same year. Okay. And those are some of the best Star Wars games.
So you're not a fan of SWTOR?
I enjoyed it, but that never really stuck for me.
Okay. You have any people in your group that play that?
I have people I played it with around launch, but we've tried dabbling into it. But the main thing that and nobody can get over is having to pay to use purples,
Gotcha. All
right?
right, fair enough.
Um, yes, it's free to play. Yes, subbing is probably worth it, but there's the people that go, well, if I'm going to play it free to play, like there's still so much that you have to pay for to do.
And it's an EA game.
Hey,
Just saying.
EA can make good games. The problem with EA is there tends to just be like one little deal breaker.
For everybody, there always is.
Like an EA game can be like 99.99% good, but there will just be like one little thing about it that makes you just go, okay, no, I'm not playing it.
Again, I'm picturing the comments in this video that are just going to explode with people telling you how wrong you are. But hey, that's why we do
Come at
this.
me, bro.
Come at me, bro. There you go. Tell him, prove him wrong.
I've got a fleet. We can take you on.
So, I'm assuming that you guys have picked a faction in Camelot Unchained that you'll be sticking with as a group. What would that be?
Yes, we have decided to go with the Arthurians.
Why?
Not only does the red kind of just vibe with our logo and everything really well, but
Wow, it does.
but when we were kind of looking at it, before I kind of pitched it to everybody, I was like, okay, I'll kind of make it to like a loose kind of census of like what everybody would prefer.
Gotcha.
I looked at all three factions, made sure there's at least one class on every faction I would like, so I won't be heartbroken one way or the other. And I'm like, okay, guys, what appeals to you more? And the general consensus was most people were kind of leaning towards Arthurians.
So, what kind of leader are you? You keep talking about taking it to the guys. Do you have a council like Malice's group with Plague has? Do you have officers that help you with the general overall day to day of your community? Are you kind of Emperor Supreme and you just make the decisions and every now throw them a bone to keep them happy?
Right now, it kind of as things are still a little small, and we don't really have a main game to focus on, it's kind of a de facto dictatorship.
Okay.
But I do have other community admins, and I do my best to make decisions that benefit everybody or as many people as possible. And sometimes when it comes to any changes or anything, I'll talk to people. I'll kind of run things by them, and I'll get as much feedback as I can. Um, right now, with our leadership structure, I'll use Star Citizen as an example. We have two main sections. We have what's going to be the corporate and what's going to be the so-called armed forces.
Okay.
So they're divided based on how dedicated you want to be. Armed forces is going to be kind of like a milsim. So there's going to be ranks, there's going to be a chain of command, and I have a structure all built out and built for modularity. So it's starting off with the smallest structure, which is a squadron, of which I am the squadron commander. And I have roles kind of placed out. So there's going to be there's a lieutenant commander there, and there's a few lieutenants within the squadron, which have been filled. So there is an officer corps established right now, and they are very helpful, and they are doing a really good job in keeping the community running. And I kind of tackled leadership a little bit differently this time around after reforming Part Time Heroes, because I've been in groups where officers are elected. I've been in groups where officers are more or less appointed. And the problem one downside I've noticed is that whenever people are just kind of given positions, Sometimes they can do really well with them. Other times they can just take them and they're just, kind of a butt in the seat. And they're not really good. They're not really bad, but they're just not doing anything. It's like, I like you, but you'd be much happier as a member with no responsibilities.
But yay, I'm in charge.
Kinda.
So do you appoint your officers, or is this a communal thing?
What I've done is when a position is needed, and there's like a set formula of when positions get created. So when there's X amount of people, there will be a new position created. I will make a forum post going, "Hey, here's this position. It's open for anyone to apply. You just have to have been in the group for at least 3 months, and you have to get 3 or 4 other members to be your reference. Get 3 or 4 other members to back you up, kind of thing." And I've even made guys that I've been gaming with for 5 years do this. Because my point is, yeah, I might know you, but does the rest of the group know you?
So you get people to get the support of their peers, more or less,
Yes.
to get in and get into a leadership position when it opens up. What do they do in that position? Because it sounds like you're just creating a position when you get, for instance, 10 more people in the community. Okay, I need a leader. I need an officer, whatever. What do they do?
How it's working right now, and this is in the case of Star Citizen, is a squadron is 25 to 30 people. And once a squadron is filled, a second squadron will be made. So kind of like a military, you have, A squad, B squad, that kind of thing, or gotcha. Platoons, that kind of thing. And in our case, a fleet is going to take the place of a platoon. And eventually, once we have multiple squadrons filled out, we will need an admiral to lead the fleet. Because when you get into that game, you're going to have various multiple groups, and you're definitely going to have a chain of command, whether you're controlling fighters, or you have a squad, or you're in a large capital ship. There has to be a chain of command there. And I feel, especially in Star Citizen, a good communication structure is going to be the most crucial thing for any group to develop. Because when you take a game like World of Warcraft and you're doing a 40-man raid, it's one thing to tell 39 other people, don't stand in the flippin' fire. And even then, people still don't listen to that. But either way, the information you're relaying to people is relatively simple. And even in something like PlanetSide 2, which has robust communication tools, you're telling, Alpha Squad, go take point A, Bravo Squad, go take point B, Charlie Squad, I need you in air support. In Star Citizen, the information you're relaying may be magnitudes more complex. Like, for example, if you have 4 bombers, and each of those 4 bombers has a crew of 5 to 6 people, you have the communication within each of those ships. So you have a pilot, you have 5 gunners, you have an engineer. And so that's a lot of information for those people to relay back and forth to operate that ship. Well, what happens when you have 4 of them flying together, right? How you manage the communication between those 4 ships, which also have people inside needing to relay things. Yes, the game is probably going to help us. They're going to have tools, but we also need to take that into consideration. And then not only that, if that group of 4 bombers are part of a larger fleet operation, there needs to be communication between that group and, say, some high command relaying orders.
So with you guys going after Star Citizen and Camelot Unchained, obviously these are 2 games that may or may not, who really knows, come out close to the same time and in respect to when the last game has come out, within a couple of years of each other, at least.
I think that's probably going to be the case.
How are you in your community going to balance the 2 games? Are you the de facto leader in each game? Are you appointing a leader in one and you're in the other? How does that look?
I'll probably need someone I can trust to run one while I set up the other. And I did that when we were doing Battlefield 4 and Guild Wars. Basically, when we started Part Time Heroes, it was me and one other guy, and we went into Guild Wars 2 and built it up into a couple hundred people. Just two of us, and we just built that up, and that was like 6 months after the game came out. When we were going to get ready for Battlefield 4, I had a friend who wanted to kind of join and build up Battlefield and eventually get a server. I'm like, okay, I am running daily. I'm running not daily, weekly guild mission nights in Guild Wars 2. So I need someone to kind of run things because I'm not going to be able to do it every Sunday when I've got a Battlefield 4 server to run. Because when you pay $90 a month, you got to make sure that thing is full. Yep. So my method of that is I had a good officer, and kind of what I did was, and he was there for most of the mission nights, so he kind of knew how they were run. So what we do is for a couple of weeks, I let him run it, but I was still there. And what that does is that tells the other people in the guild, hey, if the guild leader is letting this guy run it, then we can trust him too. Right. But then again, if he needs any help, because people may not be paying attention or whatever, I can kind of step in and kind of nudge people to listen to him and that kind of thing. And then so it shows that you trust them, and your guild members can look to you and be like, okay, the guild leader trusts this guy to run stuff, right? And it just makes everybody 100% more comfortable. And so that ran fairly well.
Cool.
And with with Camelot Unchained and Star Citizen, they're going to have very similar structures in the sense that we're going to have, in both games, they're going to have a section that is going to have ranks and a chain of command and stuff and other fluff that people can earn. If you've ever seen like an Arma 3 group where they kind of break everybody down into like designated ranks and stuff like that, I've seen groups where you actually have to have a real name. It doesn't have to be your actual name, but it has to be a real name. Right? Because they're kind of simming it. They're kind of role playing as well as playing seriously.
Right.
So that side is there if you want it, but the other side, which in Star Citizen's case is going to be corporate, in Camelot I don't have a name for it yet, but that's going to be more of a traditional guild. There will be officers that act as regular guild officers that are there to help run events and make things go. But for the most part, it's going to be a bit more casual. So if you don't have the time, or if you're just not interested in being super serious all the time, you don't have to.
20 hours.
But at the same, exactly. And at the same time, if you do occasionally want to experience being in a really tight-knit operation, that option will be there for you.
Great. So,
because the other way I see about it is, you might want to play the game seriously. You might want to be like in a squad, and you want to be, a fire team leader and all that kind of stuff. But you might have a friend, like an IRL friend, who wants to join the same group as you, but they're not nearly as dedicated as you are. Well, we have a place for them in Part-Time Heroes.
So Part-Time Heroes, nice big community, kind of fluctuates. Do you guys do a lot of real life get-togethers, or are we not there yet with your group?
I met one guy at CitizenCon last year when I went to Austin.
So you go to a lot of conventions, and
that's the first convention I've ever been.
Okay.
I live in northern British Columbia, so traveling is a pain in the butt. And so last year, I'm like, you know what? I want to do something fun. God damn it. I'm going to go to a convention. Screw it. So as it said, I went to CitizenCon last fall. And that was a fun time. Got to be in the crowd when they did the whole demo and everything. Got to speak to a lot of developers one-on-one. Really good story time for that, but we'd probably be here for a lot longer.
Well, I think we're already over our normal thing anyway, but keep going.
Fact of the matter is, anyone who has any doubts of that game, I can tell you one thing. Speaking to some of those developers one-on-one, I didn't get a lot of time with the man himself, but I did get a few minutes to chat with his brother Aaron Roberts. Oh man, the passion of these guys.
Always makes for a good game developer, right? Somebody with
the other thing too is, if their handlers let them, they would be out there talking to backers all day. Like, they would legit just be out there all day nerding out, talking to people. If they were allowed to, but of course they had work to do.
Of course. Pesky work again. It gets in the way.
I know. So anyways, I'm in the lineup for the autographs. And I'm like at the very back of the line. This is at like almost midnight, very end of the night. So Chris Roberts and all the other head honchos are out. They're on the table signing stuff. And I'm at the very back of the line, and I'm chilling with this other guy. We're just kind of chatting and whatever. And it turns out he played on my Battlefield 4 server like 4 years ago. And he still remembers playing on it. I'm like, what the shit? And needless to say, he's back in the fold.
That's great.
But it's just like, holy shit, small world.
So do you hope to be taking Part-Time Heroes to different cons when they come up and other things? Will you be starting some real-life gatherings, or is that probably not your cup of tea?
We might do a meeting at CitizenCon next year. This year is being held in Manchester, but next year is going to be in LA, which is fairly reasonable for most people to get to because LA is just a giant airport.
A giant cesspool. I'm going to get comments on that, I know.
Well, it is. The guy I met. No, seriously. The guy I met in the line, he's from LA. He's like,
I used to live out there too. Yeah. Well, great.
I'm from the Vancouver area. It's basically a mini LA, so it's a mini cesspool too. So
I think we caught some of the abouts that you've been throwing out here and there. So Part-Time Heroes, you are recruiting currently, yes?
For the games we plan on playing, if you're into Star Citizen, that might be up your alley. Camelot Unchained, just keep in mind the game ain't there yet. You might want to find something to play with us in the meantime.
I mean, neither is Star Citizen, let's be real.
Hey, we played every Saturday.
But it's not quite there yet.
It's not. Rain or shine, we still try.
Okay, so what would be the best way for people to reach out to? Do they reach out to you? Do they reach out to one of your many minions?
We have a Discord, which you can join. You can also... Description. I mean, I'm reachable. I'm approachable. If you're actually in the Smart Gamer Discord as well, you can reach out to me. It's not a big deal. And we're always happy to take people. And keep in mind, like, we're fairly relaxed. We have people who played with us regularly 5 years ago, but I'm like, you know what? We had that big lapse in existing for 4 years. I'm not going to be heartbroken if you disappear for a year and come back. We'll just kind of put you in a little maybe pile, but feel free to drop in, drop out, that kind of thing.
So if I'm a long-time gamer and I'm looking for a community to get a part of, and I think that you are my community, do I have to do an application process? Is there an interview, or do they just say, hey, add me, I'm ready to go?
We have an application process mostly to filter out people that can't read.
And they'll get that after they connect with you.
Exactly.
Okay. Great. Well, Taco, this was great. I mean, I've learned some things about you and your community that I didn't know before. And gosh, it seems like we've known each other for really just a couple months now.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to let all the wonderful people out there in YouTube world know?
We're definitely going places. And if you want to kick some ass and do some cool shit you can't do in other games or in other groups, hit me up.
And give me one good thing or one interesting thing that sets you apart from other gaming communities. Why would I choose yours over anyone else's?
We have a lot of reasonable and level-headed people, and we have a lot of experience in running these kind of things.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Part-Time Heroes with Poison Taco.
I want to do big stuff in big games. We're talking about video games here. What the hell are you doing? Don't stand in the flippin' fire. Don't get me started on them.